Before we begin, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever replayed an old hurt in your mind over and over again? Perhaps someone betrayed your trust. Perhaps someone said something that wounded you deeply. Or perhaps there is a mistake, regret, or disappointment from years ago that you still carry in your heart today. What if I told you that the pain from the past is not what hurts us the most? What hurts us the most is carrying it for far longer than we should. The story you are about to hear is about a woman who spent years holding on to her pain, only to discover that the very thing she refused to let go of was quietly stealing her peace, her happiness, and her life. Stay with me until the end, because her discovery might change the way you look at your own past. On a quiet hillside overlooking a green valley stood a small cottage. It belonged to a woman named Agatha. Agatha lived alone. It had not always been that way. Once her home had been full of laughter, visitors, and warm conversations. But over the years, people had hurt her. A friend had betrayed her trust. A neighbor had spoken cruel words. A relative had forgotten a promise. None of these wounds were large on their own, but Agatha never forgot any of them. She carried each hurt carefully in her heart. Whenever she felt angry or resentful, she would walk to an old oak tree near the edge of the hill. There she would sit quietly and knit. At first, she knitted a scarf simply to keep herself busy, but soon it became a habit. Every time she remembered an insult, she added a few rows. Every time she replayed an argument, she knitted a little more. Every time she thought about someone who had wronged her, the scarf grew longer. Years passed. The scarf stretched across the hillside like a winding river of wool. Yet Agatha never questioned it. She believed she was holding on to her memories. She never realized the memories were holding on to her. As the scarf grew longer, her world grew smaller. She stopped visiting friends. She ignored invitations. She avoided family gatherings. Instead, she sat beneath the oak tree, knitting and remembering. The scarf became heavier with every passing year. One autumn afternoon, dark clouds drifted across the sky. A cold wind swept over the hill. Agatha sat beneath the tree, knitting as usual, thinking about an old argument that had happened many years before. When she finally stood to leave, the enormous scarf trailed behind her. A sudden gust of wind lifted part of it into the air. The scarf wrapped around her legs. She stumbled. Before she could catch herself, she slipped down the steep hillside. The scarf snagged on the branches of the oak tree above. In an instant, it tightened around her neck. Agatha dangled helplessly over the slope. She gasped for air. She clawed at the wool, but it only tightened further. Panic filled her heart. Then a terrible thought struck her. The scarf was doing exactly what her grudges had done all these years. It was choking the life out of her. As her strength faded, her hand brushed against something in her pocket. A small pair of scissors. She always carried them for knitting. With trembling fingers, she pulled them out. For a moment, she hesitated. The scarf had taken years to make. Thousands of hours, countless memories. It felt like a part of her. But then she realized something. The scarf had never protected her from pain. It had only imprisoned her in it. Taking a deep breath, she opened the scissors and cut through the wool. The scarf snapped apart. The enormous weight vanished instantly. Agatha fell onto a soft patch of grass below. For a few moments she lay there, staring at the sky, grateful simply to be alive. Above her, pieces of the scarf drifted away in the wind and disappeared across the valley. As she watched them go, tears filled her eyes. She thought about the years she had spent replaying old hurts, the friendships she had lost, the family gatherings she had missed, the joy, love, and peace she had denied herself, all because she refused to let go. "I should have cut it years ago," she whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she watched the pieces of the scarf drift away on the wind. "All this time, I thought I was holding on to the past. The truth is, the past was holding on to me." As the last strands vanished beyond the hillside, Agatha felt something leave her heart as well. The burden she had carried for so many years. For the first time in many years, she felt truly free. She sat there quietly for a while, feeling the breeze against her face and the warmth of the afternoon sun upon her skin. The valley, the hills, and the sky were exactly as they had always been. Yet somehow, everything felt different. That evening, Agatha walked home feeling lighter than she had in decades. The next day, she visited her sister. A week later, she wrote a letter to an old friend. Little by little, she opened the door she had closed on the world. She discovered that forgiveness did not erase the past. It simply released her from carrying it. And whenever old resentments returned, she remembered the scarf fluttering away on the wind. Then she smiled and let them go. For she had finally learned that some burdens are too heavy to carry, not because they weigh down the body, but because they burden the heart, steal our peace, and keep us from fully living. Holding on to anger is like knitting a scarf from old hurts. With every grudge, the scarf grows longer and heavier until it begins to choke the joy from your life. Forgiveness does not change the past. It frees you from carrying it. And if you are carrying pain from the past, remember this: you don't have to carry it forever. Free yourself from old hurts, regrets, disappointments, and resentment. Let go of what weighs down your heart. The past cannot be changed, but it does not have to control your future. When you release the burdens of yesterday, you make room for peace, healing, happiness, and a life that is truly worth living. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more inspirational stories that uplift, encourage, and remind us of life's most important lessons. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep smiling, keep spreading love, and keep choosing peace. Take care, and God bless.